She comes back again from church and says, well, we can't hold hands. And you also can't touch my bum. So I'm like, okay, then what are we doing?
This is our love story. This is our journey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our love journey. And we are in the month of February.
Month of love. It's a great month. I think a lot of important people were born in this month.
Pumila Dwaba, Oprah Winfrey, Alicia Keys, who else? All of us are January babies.
You didn't let me finish. I said Aquarius.
I don't believe in that. I don't.
Guys, it's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker.
I'm joking.
Let's introduce our guests. Guys, I think people have actually asked us to bring you guys on. But everything in its own time. Today's podcast, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Mogale. Mogale. So I must get it correct.
Yeah,
How you guys doing?
Oh, lovely. Yeah, we're getting there. Yes. Thanks for having us on this platform.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So it's actually weird. Not weird, but I mean, we wanted you guys here because we want to talk about the weight.
Yeah.
And
you want to talk about
you
the
waited,
weight.
but you didn't wait. Like, you're not even, like, you just turned a year and already she's about to pop.
So there's two weights, but the first weight, I think we'll talk about the first weight.
Yeah.
The first weight.
Which was obviously you guys dated for a long time.
Yeah.
And during that time, there was no, how do I say this?
No sex.
Babe,
No
our
bums.
parents watch this thing. There
Our parents know when we have sex.
There was no
no
covenantal
intertwining.
duties. Yeah. So that's obviously in the day that we live in, it's a very rare thing to find. Pupi and I tried, but that's a story for another day. So we just wanted to know, first of all, what inspired or encouraged that decision to say, this is what we're going to do.
I think that's her question because I think she's the one that
initiated.
Yeah, the whole thing. So that's her question.
Look, I think before we became celibate or we waited, we were indulging. We were having
Good
sex.
old days.
You know, high school we were getting down, and then I think for us I had my encounter with God, and I decided, you know what, I was having sex for a lot of the wrong reasons, and when I had my encounter with the Lord, I wanted to wait, and I think I first started by saying, let's stop kissing.
It was so weird, bro.
Let's stop
So wait, so you
kissing.
guys had already started.
We had
you guys
started.
had some sort of like intimacy that
Yeah.
you guys, or you had a whole vibe. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then we moved to Cape Town, went to varsity, and that's when I had my encounter with God. And then I suggested to him, look, I want to wait. We started with not kissing first. I said, okay, let's not
it
kiss.
was
So wait, is it let's not kiss, but we can have sex, or let's just no kiss, no nothing?
I think it was no kissing.
I think she's telling it kind of wrong.
Let me tell it, and then you will.
Okay, you give us your perspective.
Yes, it was no kissing, no holding. It got to no holding hands, no having sex. It was really, really messed up. I think we'll get into that. But so no kissing, no holding hands, because I felt like the kissing would obviously spark up the I want to have sex.
Yeah.
So I cut things completely, and I said I want to, and I had this idea that was purity.
Yeah.
You know? And it's only until I grew up where I got a deeper understanding of purity. It's not just abstaining from sex.
It's not just
purity
physical.
Honestly starts in the heart, right?
Yeah.
So
That's how I did it.
yeah, I know. So yeah, we abstained. I told him, he had his own response, but he followed through. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think for me it was pretty weird.
I can imagine.
Because I literally was the definition of the F-boy, street boy, party, have a good time.
Rock and roll.
So we already indulging in the sex.
Yeah.
It's good times, you know. Plus she had never mind, too much info.
She still got it.
They got it. So we get to Cape Town. It first starts off with the sex. But with the sex, I'm like, okay, actually, I was actually pretty innocent before I went off south.
Okay.
So I said, okay, cool. I'm not could be a gentleman, you know. Can't help but wait.
Yeah.
Shay songs, you know. So I wait with the sex. I'm like, that's cool. Then she comes back and says, okay, listen. And it was all because of church. We can't kiss. I'm like,
Or
kiss.
Heather Lindsay.
Yeah, like, ooh, like, ooh.
You don't even want to hear that name.
I love them, but
Brendan understands.
I get it.
bro, and I think they're great. I just think that the understanding of some of their teachings for some people was not really, caught properly.
Yeah.
So then comes back, no kissing. I'm like, okay, all right, you're testing me. That's fine. She comes back again from church and says, well, we can't hold hands. And you also can't touch my bum. So I'm like, okay, then what are we doing? Like, what is it that we're going to do? I'm an affectionate person.
Yeah.
So now I can't hold your hand. I can't touch you anywhere else. I can't kiss you. I understand the sex. But all of that?
It's too much.
No, it couldn't. So it was pretty challenging for me.
But he still went with it.
You still went with it?
I went with it, but I think I was just fooling myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
tell us, unpack that.
Yeah, I think also, like, I had this idea, like I said, before I went off the rail, I was pretty much like of a shy, innocent. So I think I was just fooling myself to be like, I think maybe I should try.
Yeah.
And then I also got saved around 2013.
Yeah.
So now I was like, oh, actually, maybe this is what God wants. I do understand that, like, abstaining and, not falling into the whole sexual sins is what God wants. But how you go about it really could determine how you see sex and whether it's healthy or not. So I think I fooled myself to think, oh, yeah, okay, I could do this thing, but at the back of my mind, I was like, but that booty, though.
So your mind was not yet, your mind wasn't pure
No,
in essence.
I was sitting like, I hope she breaks.
Yeah.
One
Oh
of
my,
those
so is
things.
that your thought?
I'm
Like the whole time?
Yeah,
like,
I'm like,
I'm just waiting. You just
one
waiting.
day, because sometimes, like, as much as there was those moments where, you still come over and sleep over a bit, but
Yeah.
it's like,
Did you guys do sleepovers while you were celibate?
Yeah, there were times when
pretty much
we did
we
sleepovers.
did.
How
We
did you justify that, Kabelo? Because Pelawena, you went holy, man.
I did. Yeah, that was a journey on its own. Hey, I think we discovered, you know what? Yes, we can have our own boundaries, but we could have sleepovers and not do anything for us.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. It worked kancane for us to a certain extent, but it caused issues because I think even though we would have the sleepovers, he sometimes would, let me
try to
He's
cuddle.
human.
He's human,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think on my end, my response was, this guy's not taking this thing seriously. And I just feel like, am I the only one who's just, have this,
So
do I have this
alone.
conviction alone?
Yeah.
And so it did kind of make me feel otherwise when it came to our standards, or me feeling like, do we have the same values? Am I the only one dragging you along? And I questioned that. And I remember there was a time where I actually tested him, and I came
Sorry,
on to him.
you tested him.
I tested him.
What's happening in this relationship?
I tested him, and
Manje sawuphenduka usathane manje.
no. I really wanted to understand where his head was at, right?
Okay.
So you tested him how?
And I
Sure.
came
That's-
onto him, and I wanted to see if he was going to stop me, because I wanted to know, is this conviction mine
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
or is it ours? And then he did stop me.
Praise the Lord. So you're a
did
good
stop
man
me.
after
So
all.
you know what I mean? Like I said, I tried, you
Yeah.
know? And I think what also made it harder is the fact that decision started only with her.
Yeah, you just had to.
So now
jump
I had
onto
to
it.
go with something that I didn't sit with myself and come to by myself.
Yeah.
Now somebody's saying, hey, you have to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, we did a type of wait, but I can relate to a lot of the things that you're saying,
Yeah.
because it's not just about we not having sex or
Yeah.
we don't hold hands in your case. It's so much more. Like you
Yeah.
could be doing that and still be a mean person.
Yeah.
And still be a terrible person.
That's so
and
true,
and
bro.
also I want to ask you guys, this is I think one of the things I would like to know, especially about that, because I haven't figured it out. But as you're waiting, how do you maintain the interest in having that kind of connection, an intimate connection, for when it actually finally happens?
Yeah.
Because especially for men, a lot of it for men, I'd assume, is suppressing feelings and learning to not behave in what a lot would say this is how men conventionally
Natural,
behave.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you suppress and still keep enough of it to say when the time is right, we can still use the spark and turn it into a fire that it's supposed to be?
Sure.
You want to go?
No, it's for you.
can go.
Oh, it's me.
It's a very good question.
I think for me, like, I actually got to a point in my relationship with God where I realized these feelings that I have. And if I woke up, excuse the language, and I have a boner, I know that means I'm healthy.
Okay.
So there's certain things I wasn't suppressing. So if I felt like, oh, I feel like, you know what? I'm feeling my lady and I would really like to engage her in this. I know, okay, fine. I've got these feelings and I do know that they're good feelings, but I do know it's not in the right timing.
Okay.
So most of the feelings I used to have, I never suppressed. And I used to be open about them.
Okay.
And my openness also, because I mean, I don't want people to think, just be open and say, oh, I'm feeling horny.
Yeah.
And think, because sometimes when you say that to somebody, you trigger them.
Yeah.
But I knew that my openness to her about those feelings wasn't because I'm trying to get her to, it was more of, hey, let's be safe. I'm feeling these things right now.
Absolutely.
So maybe be careful how you might sit or talk or touch me in that moment. So for me, I had to learn that, hey, there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
Just if you go and you entertain them and you're not in the right context, that's when they become wrong. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's what kept my mind healthy in terms of sex, even now in marriage.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I had suppressed those feelings, now I'm married, now I need to unsuppress them.
Yeah. Which is a journey
Which
and a
takes
half.
another process.
Yeah.
I mean, we got married, I was ready.
You were what? Ready?
Ready.
I think it was different for me.
Yeah.
Very different for me. And I think it's because, like I said initially, in the beginning when we were younger, sex was more about, I want to show off. I want to
Yeah.
please the guy, you know. I'm doing it for the guy. So it wasn't because I even understood what sex was about. I
Yeah.
was just doing sex
Yeah.
because, or having sex because everyone
That's
was
what
having
we're doing.
sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're popular. You want to show that I can still twerk. I can do that thing. You know,
Yeah.
you like it when the guys say, yo, that girl type of thing.
Yeah.
And so when I had my encounter, then I thought that I needed to suppress all the emotions, like all the feelings, like the being turned on,
Like it's almost wrong
everything,
to feel
like
that.
it's wrong to feel that.
Yeah.
And so I suppressed that for a very, very long time. And that came with a very negative view of sex. And I think that's something that we had to deal with, and I think to some extent are still dealing with it now in marriage, because I'm having to learn that those feelings are good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's healthy for me to feel that. It's healthy for me to have that attraction for my husband, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we don't talk about a lot in the church.
That's what I wanted to get
Yeah.
into now. Is now, where do we strike the balance?
Yeah.
Because on paper, it's good to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? However, there's very few have, I guess, the revelation that you had that, hey, don't suppress this. This is a
Yeah.
good thing. But the way we are told to wait, it's as if sex into embi. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And so now, where do we strike the balance? So is it good to wait, or is it not good to wait?
Exactly. And how do we wait?
And how do we wait?
Exactly.
What's the correct way
Yeah.
to wait?
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
People become celibate for various reasons, not just because of faith.
Yes,
And
yes, absolutely.
We want to acknowledge that. Some people are doing it for health reasons. Some people to be clear in their minds.
Some men are trash.
We're not trash. You know what I mean? Some people are waiting for the right one or to be in a committed relationship. We don't all wait just because of faith.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, right? Because we do have people who listen and who tune in who are saying, I don't share the same faith as you, but I'm still celibate,
Yeah.
right? Or I do want to be celibate. I think having conversations around this topic, a lot of conversations can help. I know I used to listen to a podcast called it was Sexy Wives or something. No, not Sexy Something. And that lady, although she was Christian, she didn't hide anything. Like,
Yeah,
she
she's
spoke
like,
about everything, foreplay, everything, you know. And I think that liberated me a lot. I learned that, man, I'm married. It's okay for me to explore my husband. It's okay for me to twerk for my husband. Actually, this is what God wants for me to
Yeah.
explore, you know, for him to explore my body. And
Yeah.
so I think having conversations and having friends where we are able to talk about sex and we're able to talk about, yo, this is what I did, you know, I'm wearing this, and it's just having good conversations, exposing yourself to knowledge,
Yeah.
that can help free you. And I think that's what helped me, and that's what's continuing to help me. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I think we put too much emphasis on sex and purity, but I think it's about God. Like, it's about who you see God to be. Same thing as saying, how do you go about not cussing?
Valid.
You know what I mean? So when you see God as good, right, and you see He says don't cuss, you know, He knows why He's saying that. But if you see Him as good and you see that He will never sin against you, then you know that, okay, there must be a good reason. And sometimes I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, like, growing up, my mom used to say certain things, don't do that. And I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you understand,
Like,
oh,
okay,
that's
you're
why.
protecting me. Yeah.
So, I mean, also, like, part of the reasons why I also got to a point where I was able to say, okay, we can wait with sex is because I always knew and had this idea that if God says I shouldn't have it in this context, then there must be a reason why. And when I actually broke it down, I realized, oh, actually, you might be saving me from, you know, some illnesses or, you know, catching something, or you might be saving me from being the guy that's got kids with every single person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you see it like that, you're like, oh, but that he's not saying it because he's trying to keep it from you. I mean, sex is a miraculous thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Pregnancy is even much more of a miracle. You know, so I'm like, when you see God a certain way and you see why He says don't do this or do that, and you know for a fact that it will never be because He's trying to harm you, some things become easier to do. Not to say they are, like, even
It
if
just
I
becomes
know
easier.
that, oh yeah, He's not saying I shouldn't have sex in these contexts because, you know, it's not good for me. But also, even if He is saying it, I'm like, it's nice.
Yeah.
How do
you tackle the conversation of masturbation? Especially because I think when you start life orientation in grade 7, grade 8,
They say go for it.
yeah, and it's for me when I was in school, it was for boys
Yeah.
because boys have
That's true.
What do you call it?
High testosterone.
No, what's another word for bone in the middle of the night?
Erections.
We just get horny.
There's something
and
that you guys get in
Morning glory.
morning.
No, guys, when you wet the bed, what is it called?
wet
wet
dreams.
Wet dreams.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh man.
So there's wet dreams for guys. So for
Let's get
girls,
into it.
so
Yes.
for girls, when we were growing up, it was never. And I think that's why even sexually, it's all about the guy because our sexual feelings were never really acknowledged.
Yeah.
For us,
Yeah.
it's all about you get pregnant.
Yeah.
For guys, you get wet dreams, you get erections every morning, and you have to do something with that.
Yeah.
But now you're waiting. You're 31 years. You've lived 30 years, and I
That-
guess how many years were you celibate? About 8.
Oh, she.
No, I
that's a
was
story.
celibate.
Okay,
She was
don't
celibate
be
for
spicing.
No,
it.
I'm not
Move
being
on.
celibate. No.
How long were you celibate?
It's not. I'm like clocking a few years now, but I was not.
5
with
years.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
5 years. So in those 5 years, what are you doing?
To tell you the truth, I did masturbate.
Do you recommend it? Do you think it's
I think this one is tricky, man.
It all
You
is.
know why it's tricky?
Why?
Because you know, when you talk about it in a health sense, they will tell you, oh, it works, it helps out with certain things. And then you bring it into the faith sense and you realize that you're actually breaking all 10 commandments at once. Who do you know that masturbates with no images in their head?
Yeah, they don't masturbate to
You
Maverick
don't
City.
look at a wall. You don't look at these lights and go, yeah. Kumnandi. No, you don't.
Kumnandi.
You create images in your head.
Kumnandi
You lust
Bamshaj.
over somebody, you know.
guys, I need to go.
It's kind of tricky when we have to think about medically. They say it helps out.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. yeah. And I heard as a man,
Gives you clarity.
I heard as a man,
Clears your head.
you know, you have to ejaculate a certain amount of times a month so you can avoid prostate cancer. But I'm like, I'm not sure.
So you were doing it for health
medical
purposes.
No, I was not necessarily doing it for health
you were just
purposes.
trying to
I
live.
was just listen, bro. Like, guys, being human is tricky, right? And I get turned on, and then what do I do?
Yeah.
Then, like,
Did you ask for forgiveness every time?
I think
Did you feel
let me
bad?
tell you the most craziest thing that I hope people receive very well.
Yeah.
In the midst of some of those things I used to do, I would hear the voice of God clearly.
Absolutely.
and I'm not saying go and sin to hear the voice of God clearly, but I'm
But-
saying in some of those moments, I used to
He's
hear
there.
him clearer than ever.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and I'd be like,
This is the time.
but why, man? Like, so it's tricky. That's why I'm like, I don't know how to handle it when it comes to, but I do know that when it comes to faith, yeah, you do break all 10 commandments at once.
Yeah.
Because like we were saying, you don't ejaculate to a wall or a tree. You know, it's either you are lusting over somebody or you're envying over somebody's, you want somebody else's thing, which is not
Lusting over-
yours.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think God is too, and and I'm not condoning anything.
Yeah.
I just think God is bigger than our small imagination.
He's super
And now
serious.
I always want to try
Yes.
and unpack it. Okay, God, what did you expect us to do with these feelings? I'm yet
Yeah.
to come across someone who can be honest and say, hey, bro, hey, sis, I did this for 30 years and look at me.
Look, I'm alive.
Look at me.
Praise the Lord.
So that's how I want us to
I think
unpack it.
if anything, nah, and this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes. I have to put a disclaimer, but this is not my dad's church's opinion. This is my opinion. It's mine. But I look at it the way I look at everything else, which is there is a balance that needs to happen, right, in life generally. This is how I look at it, and that's why we have, I think, the church as, you know, a body, and that's why we have, I always like saying there's the headquarters and there's the
Yes.
field agents, right? And so just like a school, there's a principal and there's
and then there's
teachers.
teachers,
And sometimes the teacher is more lenient than a principal because the job requires different things.
Yeah.
And so when you bring that to life and living, we look at sex, right, as a global thing or overall is a beautiful thing, right? But outside the covenant of marriage, it's very hard to contain.
Yeah.
So what then do we do?
Yeah.
Then we say, let's not do it.
And
Because
full stop.
yeah, let's just not do it, because then we don't have to have individual rules for every individual person.
Yeah.
If we have one set of rules.
True.
So that's why I find that even myself, I mean, we had our own version of celibacy, like I always say. And there was so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a perfect, ideal type of celibacy that you hear people talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't experience that at all.
Yeah.
I experienced falling. I experienced redemption. I experienced getting closer to each other and all these other things, but not through perfection.
Yeah.
Through what you were saying is that I was just like you. I was just willing to give it a go. I did not have the tools, as many people don't have the tools, because you don't know what it's going to take. I don't think anyone has the tools. And so the way I look at it is that at the end of the day, it is, if you can make it the way you guys made it to your destination, and we made it to our destination where we are, then you did it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so hard because in the world that we live in, it's like the lines are so blurred because people are so different, and our journeys are so different, and our experiences are so different, that to some people, I remember when we were celibate, sometimes I'd go like do gigs and to just before I'd go to perform, right, to the show,
Like, babe.
I just
a
get out. I just pop out a
Get
quick
the
one
edge off.
because I'm like, yo, I'm
It's
going
gonna
to a
get
place
rough.
where I'm going to be celebrated and affirmed,
Yeah.
and the whole time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm it's just,
Sure.
and I use that as a defense,
Yeah.
right? Now, what do you say about using a sin as a defense?
Yeah.
But that's my truth.
Yeah.
And it's something that for a while I had to do and decide, Guti, I'm either really going to screw this up,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna take one for the team. You know what I mean? And it's so hard. It's such a hard conversation.
But I like what you say, because I actually was thinking about it on our way here. I thought to myself, well, I mean, God calls David a man after his own heart, right?
Do we know David?
And I thought to myself, he didn't call him that before all his nonsense.
Yeah.
He called him
After.
after the nonsense. And I thought to myself, why is it that God will call David a man after his own heart? And I don't think maybe it's all about doing it right, but it's about being real in it.
Yeah.
So I think because David knew who God is,
Yeah.
even when I fumble, but because I know who God is, I will never think I'm better or greater than God.
Yeah.
But God is
So-
looking for people who worship in spirit
And
and
in
in
truth.
truth.
And
But
in
we
truth.
think truth
We miss the
is
truth and we want
perfection.
the spirit.
But the truth is
And we go in the spirit, but we miss the truth. And the
Yeah.
truth is being able to say, well, Lord, yeah, I know you said she's my wife, but she kind of getting on my nerve. And I didn't speak to her well the other day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not to say I'm pompous about, yeah, I could. No, but it's about saying, hey, I think I'm wicked. And I think there's something wrong with some of the ways I behave.
Yeah.
And I don't know when, but I do trust that you're the only God that could actually help me
Yeah.
through that process and that journey. So I'm not trying to be right.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it.
I'm
You're
not trying to be right, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to say I'm available for you to touch me however you want to touch me, and let me walk through it. And in that place, that was your journey. You like, all right, I'm being real to the fact that I need to get this edge off. And I know at the same time, I know that it's not something God is encouraging me to do. But at the same time, Lord,
In the jar.
woo!
I'm out in
The
the
spirit
field,
is
man.
willing, but my flesh is weak.
I got to a place with masturbation. Remember, I used to speak to you about it and say, this is what happened, this is what I've done. Because it's happened to me before. And I remember, when was it? 2018, when we just got back from Cape Town.
Yeah.
That was a very difficult year.
Yeah.
Because we were transitioning from Cape Town to Joburg and things were so different, and we were looking for work at that time. And so it was a very difficult time. And I remember listening to an interview where they were talking about women masturbating and how freeing it is, and how they were talking about it clearing your mind when you're stressed. Just, you know,
It's good for you. Yeah.
just you know, enjoy yourself a bit. And I think that planted a seed in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm stressed, so let me try. And I tried, and really it just eased me off a bit.
Yeah.
And so you start thinking, I remember having a conversation with God, and I was like, I'm stressed. I know that this is probably not something I should be doing, but it eases me off.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it for some time. I used
So
to
you
talk to-
became addicted?
I won't say addicted, but I used to speak to him about it, like, oh, it happened today. And I'd open up to him because I knew that this is a man I do want to marry. And I didn't want to feel as though I'm masturbating and I'm going to get used to pleasing myself. And then when we get married, he's not
problem.
going to be able to please me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would have that conversation with him and tell him, it happened, and he would really receive me with so much grace. Okay, it's fine. I think Bella is good tonight. Hey,
No, I mean,
You're
struggling.
I think it was also a matter of, I think so many times as Christians or just as people in general, we're so we're hypocritical to each other.
Yeah.
Like, even if I was not masturbating,
Yeah.
even if I didn't have a sexual sin struggle, I might be struggling with something else.
Yeah.
Or maybe just
Yeah.
thinking crazy about, who do you think you like?
Yeah.
I could be judgmental in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah.
So when you come to me and I'm aware of the fact that, okay, I might not be struggling with masturbating, but I got my own struggles.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, as long as I'm on earth,
You got struggles.
I got struggles.
Yeah.
And some of them I may not see them.
Yeah.
If I'm not perfect, it means there must be a flaw about me. So if you come open up about something, I cannot act like I'm
You've
God.
got that.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
It's either I could try and say, hey, Faith, listen, I don't know how to go about that. Maybe
Yeah.
here's a book or here's a podcast or maybe here's somebody who's been on that journey, but I can't. But if I have, I could say, hey, I remember I did 1, 2, and 3. Maybe try it out.
Yeah. Would you guys recommend waiting?
I would, but wait with understanding. I think if we're going to speak about it from a church perspective, I guess, or from a faith perspective.
It doesn't even have to be from a
Yeah,
faith
just do it with understanding. That's what I would say. Don't do it because this person is doing it. Don't do it because the church is doing it. Don't even do it because you feel like you're condemned. Get understanding. Get to know, why do I want to wait? What are the benefits for me waiting? Like you mentioned, I had to get to a place where I understood me not having sex it's not God withholding from me. It's actually because he's wanting to protect me. It's to show his goodness. And I think when I had that understanding, even if I was still struggling with the whole suppressing and having to now, unpack that for myself, I still got some form of understanding. And that's what helped me wait. I think that's what helped me not regret waiting as well. So I think if I would definitely recommend it, but do it with understanding. And even if along the way something happens and you have sex, just you know, it's okay. Get up.
Get up.
Don't be condemned. Like you said, it's our experiences.
Yeah.
It's not about being right.
Yeah.
It's about living and knowing and having an understanding of every action that you have, I guess.
I think this thing is kind of like, it's tricky for me because as I get older, I start to see things a lot more different.
Yeah.
Same thing as, would you recommend somebody to go to the gym? Yeah, I would. But are you going to go? Sure. Unless if you know the benefits, right?
Yeah.
So then I would say the little time that I took to wait, you know, now I see, now that, I mean, she did 8.
Yeah, but 5 years ain't
But
little.
I'm saying,
I mean, there's people who might be watching who are like 18.
yeah.
And are probably getting married at like 25, 26.
You know what I mean?
So, I mean, 5 years.
So I'm like, what I've seen it do for me in marriage is the mere fact that, especially even now in pregnancy, because the cookie jar just closes a little bit.
It's like, not today, bro.
Yeah, the cookie jar closes a bit, but because from her, I actually never had it from her for that long.
Yeah.
So there's certain things I can actually have endurance in. So I'm not saying, yeah, I've got, because it's created some form of self-control, like, and the self-control is insane. Because now she doesn't have to say, let's stop kissing. No, now I can go days and weeks without it. And not to say, because I'm just being, no, but because actually that's not my first priority anymore. But I do understand it's a priority for marriage.
Yes.
So now I've seen that it creates this, you have an endurance, you think clearly even without it.
Yeah.
And then it's not only the only thing, because I've heard women complain about, all he wants is just sex. I just touch his thigh and already the brother's trying to get it
you
on.
give me a non-sexual
can I
touch?
just get cuddles without, you know, you hear that and you
Yeah.
realize, well, I can actually just cuddle the whole night and not even
I'll be
feel
fine.
anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm intentional about the fact that we do have to have sex.
Yeah.
But I've seen the endurance it brings. Like, I can wait. I can chill. She could say, not today. I could say, it's fine. That's what I tell the devil too.
But I love what you mentioned, and it's such it's a fruit of the spirit, self-control, that, and not just in your sex life, but in many other areas of your life. You've learned
I mean,
self-control.
like even now, like I could get out the house, go somewhere, and there could still be fine women.
Yeah,
But it's like, okay, cool.
I'm good.
You fine.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, you are fine. But I'm cool.
Yeah.
And then go home.
Yeah. I think as I listen to all of us kind of give our perspective, because at the end of the day, people want answers. But like, I feel like God doesn't judge us on performance.
No.
Yeah.
He judges us. He looks at the posture of our hearts and how badly we want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but there's things in my life that I've badly wanted that I didn't get.
Yeah.
And I did everything
Yeah.
I knew to do, and I
Yeah.
didn't get because maybe God didn't think it was the right time, or maybe it wasn't the thing for me.
Yeah.
And so I think at the end of the day, if I was to advise anyone on whether to wait or not, I'd always say wait. It's the same thing with the gym thing.
Yeah.
Of course, wait.
Go to gym.
It is always the better idea to attempt the harder thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's better benefits.
Yeah.
Speaking of benefits, I feel like but can we talk about the more benefits of the waiting?
Yeah.
I know you spoke about self-control, which, as me and Boom were actually talking about it, is one of probably the hardest fruits of the spirit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't talk about it. Like PC,
Yeah.
all of these
Joy.
popular ones.
Gently.
You understand?
Yeah.
But, you know, self-control.
Self-control.
But what other benefits would you say you can attribute to your guys' waiting?
You want to go?
You get to know more about yourself. Like I mentioned, for me, I got to heal. It helped me heal because I realized having sex, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And so for me, I discovered self-worth, which is a huge thing for me because, like I said, sex was more to impress the guy that I was with. It was more to show him that I can go down. But in the process, not knowing my self-worth, you know, that's for him. But if I don't want it, I'm still doing it so I
for
can
him.
please him.
Yeah.
And even if I'm with him and he still messes up and goes around and sleeps with someone else, I'm still gonna give it to him, you know. And then you lose your self-worth in the process. So I think for me, it helped me heal. It helped me get to know more about myself.
Yeah.
It helped me learn about sex as well. You know, the importance of it, the beauty of it. Even though I had to do a lot of unlearning because of the suppressing and because of not understanding prior, it really, really, the weight helped me in learning more about sex.
Yeah.
So, and like you guys mentioned, self-control. Because look, there are handsome guys out there. You know what I mean? There are good-looking guys out there too.
Not from Pumi, apparently.
It's the first time in our 5 years of marriage I have someone like,
She has a crush on. But
yeah,
Oh yeah,
wow.
who that?
You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Should I get the clip ready?
Nah, don't worry, I got it covered.
Alright, cool, no
Otherwise,
stress.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits, I think sex, like I said, sex is a miraculous event that happens, but we don't take it as that, you know? Because I mean, when you think about it, that's where souls become one.
yeah.
And when souls become one and you have not had enough conversations outside of that, you don't know each other.
Yeah. All you know is
You know what I mean? So the one thing about waiting, I could say that we were not having sex.
You had to talk.
I had a talk. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm
You had to
forced
do stuff.
Yeah, I'm forced to study you now because I'm not studying your body and its curves.
Yeah.
But now I'm studying, oh, okay. All right, that's the person she is. That's how she reacts in these moments. That's what she says she likes. That's what she says she doesn't like. Oh, that's how she talks to her parents. That's how she is with. Now I'm what can I do? Because when the sex was happening, I didn't need to know all of those
No,
things.
you could just.
And when you're done,
stand
you
back.
just wanted to sleep.
Yeah, we're on the high now.
When we're
you know?
upset, there's no
Yeah.
angry sex. We have to talk it out.
And then you get fooled because now you finish each other's sentences and you think, yeah, we know each other. No, your souls have joined each other. That's why you can finish my sentence. It doesn't mean you know me. So, sex, the weight, I could say, my bad. I could say, I think the weight gives you time to know each other
I love that.
That's good.
outside because
I agree.
sex is powerful.
Yeah.
And it literally it joins and blurs certain things, and then next thing you're wondering, but I thought you got money. No, you didn't ask. My sex is rich, but I'm broke.
Guys, and I need honesty. Was the first night?
Oh,
Was it like the movies?
Yeah, or was it like?
I don't know. They say you should ask her to really know.
It was painful.
So it wasn't a movie.
No. And I remember, right? I initiated it.
Oh,
'cause I
yeah.
was like, this has to happen.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen tonight, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna keep postponing. So I went to the bathroom and I
she
got
came
into
out.
some cute
Some
stuff.
stuff.
And then as soon as I went out, he knew, okay, it's happening. And he was nervous. He was.
Were you nervous?
He was
Actually,
nervous.
I
We were both nervous. Like he was nervous.
I know, bro. I know.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
a lot
easy.
was resting on that performance.
Yeah, so we were both nervous and it felt so beautiful because even though we've had sex before, it felt like something new. Like
Okay.
I was having sex with someone. I waited, and now I'm getting to enjoy this with him. And he was gentle with me. He would ask, "Are you fine?" It's so. But yeah, it wasn't all like
Glory. Yeah, and that's what I
No,
want to
no,
get to because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people worry and think within your first year of marriage or within the first time, just because you waited, all of a sudden it's orgasms
Nah.
and bam, bam, bam.
No.
It's a
It's a process
journey.
and
It's
journey.
a journey.
I think also one of the things that helps with the weight is the fact that amongst masturbating, it's also attached to pornography. So, or maybe having sex with other girls and stuff like that. So now what I needed to learn or unlearn is not to put those things into my marriage when I come in. Because it could have been easy for me on the first night to be like, hey, I remember. Yeah, that one, she broke it down
Yeah.
like this, or
Yeah.
that porn star is doing
Yeah.
it like,
Yeah.
and then I can be like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah, this
But
is not how
but
I
also it
imagined.
was a journey to say, Lord, renew my mind when
Mm.
it comes to this. I don't want to go into the bedroom with any ideas. So when we got there, that's why I was also nervous, because I'm like, I don't know nothing.
Fresh start.
I don't know how to do this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't all glorious, and
It was
I mean,
messy.
like even till today, it's been over a year.
Yeah.
we still figuring out how to have great sex.
But
Yeah.
I think we all still
We
figuring.
figured it out. No, I'm joking.
No, but it's
what I can say is that it just gets better.
it just
every
gets
Yeah.
better.
Which
And-
is weird because like even like okay, maybe not the first day. The first year wasn't great.
it's like-
Second year was great.
It's
though.
getting-
Second, third, but then like every year we just like how, but we thought this was like you
Yeah.
think you've reached.
Can't
Yeah.
deny.
Yeah, but it just
You're
keeps
still
going.
you're gonna find
But
out.
I think also a lot of it has to do with your growth as a unit and
Yeah.
as people and your actual attachment.
intimacy as
Yeah.
well.
Intimacy, 'cause
not,
it's not-
sexual intimacy,
Yeah.
but actual intimacy.
Yeah.
Into me.
Intimacy. Yeah.
So that's
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, man. Oh, but thank you guys.
that was fun.
Yeah, like I think we're gonna have you guys on again
We'll
because
have the weight segment.
yeah, because there's quite a lot to talk
Yeah,
about,
it is quite a
and not
lot.
just in the waiting part, but like you guys said, when you actually get married,
Yeah.
what next?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's quite interesting to have these conversations,
It
these
is.
unpopular conversations,
Yeah.
because they are really tricky. And
They
it's,
are.
It's very
because there's
tricky.
no like right answer,
Yeah.
and also we all
There is a
trying,
paper
we're all
right
trying to not
answer.
get
Yes.
cancelled here.
You know what
so,
I mean?
so it's like, but I love how honest you guys were,
Yeah.
and that's actually why we brought you guys on, because of your honesty,
Yeah.
Oh,
and we knew you guys are gonna overshare.
But I
That's what we want,
almost-
though. That's
I
what we want,
almost-
though.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah. Do you guys have any closing
Remarks.
remarks?
Hey, listen, man.
You can
Thanks
take-
for having. Thanks for
No,
having
not for us,
guys.
for the people.
But I think some things are hard to do.
Yeah.
But I think there's benefits to it, and I think it's in everything. Like
Yeah.
you guys also can attest to that. That there's certain things that you deny yourself. That today you're sitting in the rewards of those things.
Absolutely.
So I think sometimes like, and also learn your own faith walk.
Yeah.
But learn it with the truth and the spirit.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that you don't just learn your own thing and you off the rail, and then you think
Yeah.
you're no. So learn it with the truth and the spirit of God, and then live freely, man. There's so
Yeah.
much more to life than just always living according to.
Yes. Enjoy the
You
journey.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and make sure that people don't throw their convictions or preferences
On you.
onto you, and
So
then
good.
they call them principles of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Some of those things are not. They're just their own preferences. So
That's good.
Good.
much love.
Kabza?
If there's anything I would say is enjoy this walk with God and walk with God. I think when you walk with Him, you soon realize that a lot of the talk from people, it's not God. Like you said, when you found yourself in that space of doing things that you knew you weren't supposed to, you heard His voice.
Yeah.
And I think I've experienced that too, where I've done stuff and I knew, and He was the first one who came running to me
Yeah.
and embracing me. And so
Yeah.
I think get to know His heart, get to know Him. And when you know Him, you get to know that, man, I can be free. I can be open.
Yeah.
I can be truthful
Yeah.
about this journey with Him. And there's no condemnation. So, yeah.
None whatsoever.
Wow, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your.
So
your-
nice to not
your
be the
journey.
ones talking.
Yeah, the ones who have to share the wisdom.
Yeah, but like, it's painful. I'm sure your guys' tummies.
Yeah,
like,
I
you,
was like,
you
I've
have to
just
dig
been
on
giving.
limo.
Thank you guys for joining us on our love journey. Until next
Till the next
week.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Love story. This is our journey.